everyone, I'm Dina with Mills Family Gardening. Welcome back to our channel. We live in North Texas, Zone 8A. And in this video, we're going to move this little blueberry plant into its permanent spot, which is this almost 20-gallon container. My friend gave me this blueberry plant because she's too busy right now to take care of her container plants. I happily took it because we've been thinking of adding another blueberry plant to our garden. We actually have one that's growing already. We've had it for several years. It's been doing great. It's been producing well, but I think that having two plants might actually be better for pollination purposes. So we'll see how they do. Like I said, blueberry plants need large containers to grow well, and I'm going to fill up this container the similar way as I filled up our old one. So for that, I'm going to use this peat moss. It's organic peat moss, llama manure that we have here, and also some container mix. I'm going to fill up 2/3 of this container with peat moss. Peat moss is supposed to be more acidic. Blueberry plants like more acidic soil. The pH should be between 4 and 4.8. And of course, when you grow blueberry in containers, you would want only one plant per pot. And also, transplanting blueberries is better to be done in early spring or late fall. But if you live up north where the climate is really cold, it's better to transplant your blueberry plants in late spring. This peat moss is very dry, so I'm going to water it, and I'll have to kind of mix it a little bit with my hands to make sure the water goes down well. And also, after I water, the peat moss settles down a little bit and gets lower. So it's always a good idea to water your growing medium as you fill up your container, especially when it's so large. Peat moss can be a little difficult to keep moist, especially during hot summer months. For that reason, you can add some vermiculite, the equal amount of vermiculite to the amount of peat moss. But we did not do it when we planted our blueberry plant, and it's doing just fine. Vermiculite is supposed to aerate the soil and also keep it moist. Peat moss on its own doesn't have any nutrients, so I'm going to add a little bit of llama manure. As llama manure breaks down, it will be feeding the blueberry plant. I'm not going to add too much, not to burn the roots. The llama manure is not broken down very well just yet, but it's okay. It's cold manure and it's not supposed to burn the roots. I'm going to mix peat moss with manure real well so that manure would be spread out evenly and it will feed the plant well through the years. And I really don't mind stirring it with my bare hands. When you're a gardener, you kind of get used to these things. The rest of the container I'm going to fill up with this potting soil or container mix. This is a really good quality container mix, a little bit pricey, but it's worth it. I use it for seedlings and for regular plants, and it grows really nice plants. And always make sure that your container has draining holes so the water would be running out. This variety is called O'Neill blueberry, and I'm gonna get it out of a container. This is a temporary pot that I put the plant into. I didn't want it to dry. The roots are pretty shallow. That's why blueberry plants need to be watered regularly. So I'm just gonna stick it in the ground, the same depth that it was in a nursery plant. And of course, I don't know what depth it was in a nursery plant. So I'm going to kind of just eyeball it and try to put it in the middle. I'm going to fill it up and cover it. And if it's a little deep, I can always pull it up. This looks like a pretty good depth to me. It's not sitting too deep, not too shallow. So now, since this container mix is not acidic, I will have to add soil acidifier. So I'm going to pour some into my hand and then simply sprinkle on top. When it comes to fertilizer, it's always a good idea not to overdo it. If I feel like it's not enough soil acidifier, I can always add more during the growing season. But for now, it's good. And now I'm just going to water the plant again, and we can set it in its permanent spot. We normally fertilize our blueberry plant once a year, early in the spring or late winter. For example, about a month ago, I added some llama manure and some soil acidifier, and also I covered it all with some garden soil or potting mix, just so it'd be covered and start breaking down. And that's about all when it comes to fertilizing. This is a perfect spot for blueberry plants because in the summer, when it gets extremely hot, I can move them a little bit away from the sun, so that way they can get morning sun and then afternoon shade. But in the spring or the fall and the winter, they can be in the full sun and they're fine. During winter months, when we have hard freezes, we keep the blueberry plant out here. It does fine. fine. Actually, it needs some chill hours to start making flowers and then produce berries. But in late winter, when the blueberry plant starts making flowers and eventually they turn into fruit, we move the plant into the garage because the freeze might kill the flowers and then we won't have any fruit. Unlike blackberries and raspberries, blueberry plants grow flowers and then produce berries on older wood, so you don't need to prune the old wood. Just let it grow. So I'm going to let this plant grow for a while and maybe next year I'll prune it. We also like to mulch our blueberry plant with some pine needles. They're supposed to add some acidity, but you could also use some pine bark. They're supposed to be acidic also, but any kind of mulch you find would be good to cover the potting soil so it would stay moist and the roots will stay moist also. So it's pretty easy to grow blueberry plants. Once you plant them, you just let them grow and they don't require much maintenance. I hope you all enjoy the video and we'll see you soon in our next one. Bye bye.